Hey, what's happening everyone? Journeyman here, and welcome to a Football Manager 29 build-up video. It's going to be a little bit of a series as we lead up to the beta release of Football Manager 2019, as we know, the end of the month. I just wanted to do a quick video really to kind of discuss some of my favorite new features of the announcements. Obviously, it's just my take on everything. I just felt like sitting down and really talking about it. And also, we'll talk about a little bit on some of the upcoming series that I'm planning to do. Obviously, all this is subject to change, and obviously, I'm going on limited information that Football Manager obviously released to the public. Until I get hands on my game myself, it's going to be very difficult to judge the game or judge these new features in full until you get really in depth with it. So today's video, I want to talk quickly about the new tactics system. All right, so the new tactics system, there's a lot of really, really good features to it and a lot of changes this year. Now, they talk about a tactical revamp. Basically, I think the revamp, I don't think is the correct word for it. I think is kind of a retooling, or yes, retooling would be it. Revamp for me is like a top to bottom rehaul of the entire tactics system. I think all they've done this year is actually just kind of like giving players or newer players the opportunity to get a tactic, or give the players opportunity to better understand a certain tactical approach. Now, see what I mean by that. If you look at the tactical screen, you can actually, the tactic creator, which used to be a 1 through 12 step, you used to be able to obviously pick the formation and it takes you step by step by step by step. This year, they've kind of took it like a step further. So basically, you pick your tactical style. Examples of that, the GGM press, the tiki-taka style. Very, very modern ways of playing football, and obviously very modern football tactics. And I think that Football Manager wanted to make a concerted effort to bridge the gap for newer players who didn't really understand their tactical approach to football or Football Manager, and kind of give them the opportunity to produce some very successful tactics without having to spend hours upon hours trying to understand the match engine or the actual the tactical system in Football Manager and how that worked. I think that's a good thing, and also think it's I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I just think it's a thing. I think we'll place that under thing. It's a good thing for the players that don't really understand the tactics system that well. I'm not fantastic at creating tactics at all. I've had some really good ones. I've had some bad ones. Just like any Football Manager, you make mistakes in real life, and I felt like that was the kind of the glory of it, and that's why I kind of categorize it under thing. The trial and error of it, the more hours you put into Football Manager, the more I feel like you get rewarded for it, because you start to understand what works and what doesn't work, and you kind of, I don't know, you kind of build the system around the players you have. Obviously, I do a lot of lower league management, so to me, that's really the essence of the purity and the I would say the glamour, but the glory of Football Manager. Trying to work within the system of players you have and trying to build that system step by step by step by step. Now, obviously, this new tactical style thing kind of skips those steps and gives the player the information and the kind of the correct way and the correct approach that the team instructions should have, the player instructions, kind of steps all that approach and gives you the information right from the get-go. Great for new players, for older players or players that are not quite sure how to build a tactic like that. It kind of skips a lot of steps in the game itself. Now, yeah, that could help you right at the beginning when you're taking over a big club, and obviously you want instant success. That could be really, really helpful. And obviously you can ignore this too. I believe I haven't seen any screens that say you can ignore everything. I think you can ignore. I presume you could ignore everything. I don't think it's a prefix like you have to select one of those tactical styles. But we'll see when the full game gets released. And obviously, if we can, then we can still do the old-fashioned Football Manager grinding, trying to work out a tactic style, which I obviously have been using for the last couple of years. Saying that, though, when I get my hands on the game, maybe I'll enjoy the new tactical style approach. Maybe my lazy ass will come into play, and we'll start to use some of those instead of actually building my own tactics. I would say, actually, there are a couple of really, really good things this year as far as additions. In particular, the width, how that's changed, and that's a really, really big change this year, and I love this change because as a defensive tactic kind of guy, I do like playing attacking football, but defensive tactics I get a lot of pride out of. I like to avoid conceding goals. You wouldn't be able to tell for some of the recent saves I've done, but I do enjoy the defensive side of Football Manager. It's a tougher challenge, and I feel like scoring goals, personally, I think defending is a much, much tougher challenge, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, when it comes to width, now you get to choose this year your attacking width and your defensive width. Obviously, that's a big thing that happens in real life. When you're defending, you can do narrow, and when you're attacking, you can maybe spread the play a bit more. and utilize those two wingers if you're using that kind of system. It's a very similar tactic to some of the lower teams do in the Premier League. Teams like Barnsley do it very well. They become very compact, and then when they start to attack, they spread the field by having the two players go very wide on the touchline. That's a very common tactic to use for teams that do counter-attack in football. Have a very cautious approach to the tactical style. I think that's a very important step they've taken this year, and I definitely think it'll give you it'll give you, like, I don't know, give you a better grasp and better control over what happens on the field. Another thing I added this year too was what happens when you possession to win back possession, and what happens when you get that possession back. So obviously this year you're able to affect the defensive line and obviously the engagement line, I think they called it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they called the engagement line. So basically it allows you to dictate when your players start to close down the opposition. Now, in previous years, you basically just had an option to obviously how hard to press, and that caused a little bit of a problem, and it didn't give you much control of what happened, because you wanted to try and press them. You wanted to do, let's say, a Jurgen Klopp style of system where it's called the G-Gen press. So you wanted to press them really fast and really early and really high up the field. The only problem with that was it usually means players get pulled out of position very quickly, and teams exploit you with a long ball over the top. So it made pressing tactics in Football Manager very difficult to do and utilize. This time, they've kind of changed that approach. So you can now dictate when you start to engage the opposition and where the defensive line is. So that kind of fixed that bug where attacking teams can just, teams can just launch the ball over your top while you're trying to press them down and just get an easy one-on-one opportunity. And more often than not, the CPU or the player will find the back of the net. So that's a really big addition this year, and that's something that I'm looking forward to get my hands on. Obviously, as well, you can dictate what happens when you win back possession straight away. So you can tell as soon as you win back possession, you can tell your fullbacks, if you're looking at wing backs, tell them to push on really quick, really early, so you get that release ball left and right. Obviously, as well, you can tell your front man to get forward over the top. And speaking of front man too, and speaking of pressing, there was a new kind of a player. What's the term? Player role this year. It's called pressing forward. They basically renamed defensive forward into pressing forward, but they've given also the attack option. Previously, defensive forward just had support and defend. The good thing about pressing forward this year, it's a bit more accurate of a term, I feel. Players like, top of my head, I'm a Saints fan, so I'm thinking about Shane Long. He's a pressing forward. So what he does, he basically pushes the opposition defenders at its limit. You close them down very quickly, very fast, and when he gets the ball, he usually gets very direct and goes straight towards goal, and that's what the attack thing is on about this year. Defensive forward last year, they would press, win the ball back, and then wait for the wingers or the attacking players to help and support. Now you have the option to press, win it back, and go straight towards goal, which is obviously when you're playing at the lower leagues, that could be a very valuable role if you find a player to do that for you, because there's going to be a lot of mistakes in the lower leagues, and pressing forwards could be the difference between winning and losing, especially if you have a good pressing forward. And there are some other slight tweaks to the tactical naming system. They've got rid of counter and attack and control this year, and they've replaced it with cautious and positive. In my opinion, that kind of makes more sense. Control was a little bit of a broad term, and I don't think that accurately represented what you wanted to do in the game. Positive is definitely a better use of a word in that one, and cautious for counter, that again, that makes sense as well. So I don't mind those changes too much. However, saying that, I do miss gung-ho. If any of my older Football Manager players out there, you'll remember what gung-ho is. It's just a very classic Football Manager term, and it's used to be overload. Essentially, it's it used to be what overload is. But anyway, it was just a fun term. I don't know why that popped in my head just then, but I do kind of miss the term gung-ho. And obviously, there are a lot more nuances to the tactics years, but those are some of the key things that I think are very interesting, and I think could make a big difference to you, the player out there, and to myself this year. I just wanted to share kind of my opinion on that one. But we'll move on to the final part of the video, which is talking about my Football Manager 2019 saves and Football Manager 2019 plans. My plans this year so far are pretty solidified. I did a Twitter poll to try and answer one of the questions I had. I wanted to do more Football Manager streams this year, and I wanted to pick pick and let the audience pick kind of what they want to see. Lots of votes came in, which is fantastic. I did not expect that kind of feedback at all. Usually when I put a poll up, I maybe get 15, 20, but I think 80 odd people responded to the poll, which is fantastic. Thank you if you're one of those people. Truly appreciate the feedback on it. And the winner was South Shields. Now I picked basically a bunch of random teams over different nations. They picked South Shields. Now, the reason I picked South Shields on there, they got a huge following. They're in the lower reaches of the footballing world. So I think tier 8 or 9, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head. I probably should do my research before I actually start the save. But they do have a huge following. A couple of years ago, they did bring a crowd of like 3,000 or 4,000 people down to a cup final game. So the support is there for the team. And obviously that helps you when you're doing a lower league save to have that immediate support from your fans, because it helps keep your finances afloat and helps you progress and grow quicker as a young lower league football club. So I'm looking forward to that challenge. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Obviously, just most recently I did the Green Lions, and that was actually a really fun save. I definitely grown an affection now for Guernsey Football Club, and they've kind of become my second unofficial team that I support behind Southampton. Not to mention the link between Southampton and Guernsey Football Club being Mark Letizia, Matt Letizier's brother, which is just an interesting little twist. But that was a lot of fun playing at those lower leagues, and I think this year I'm going to have a lot of fun again doing one of those lower league saves. And so the other saves, this comes to mind. I'm still torn up between what I'm going to do here. Originally, I'd planned to do a Journeyman's Journey, which is going to be a journeyman career. And I'm not sure how I want to do it, though. Do I want to do like a regional one, whether it be based in Scandinavia, Asia, Eastern Europe, the whole of Europe, North America, maybe South America? I haven't done a South American one in quite some time. That could actually be an interesting journeyman save in South America. So I haven't decided if it's going to be regional, a global, a continent one. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with that yet. So let me know in the comments below if you have any kind of input into that, what stuff you might want to see, something a little bit different maybe. And so yeah, there's going to be a Journeyman save. I just haven't decided where it's going to be and what the theme's going to be, and I should probably get on that because the release is now less than a month away. All right, and then the other thing I'm undecided upon is the beta save. Now, originally, I was going to do Hamburg SV, obviously, in Germany. Now, obviously, this year is a big year for Football Manager 2 because they finally have the German license, which means the player pictures, the kits, the names, the international team, it's all going to be in the game this year. Obviously, in previous versions, they didn't have the license for it, so they couldn't use player names. They couldn't use... they could use player names, but they couldn't use the faces, the badges, the kits, etc., etc. They couldn't even use the national team. You had to wait till about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years in before you decide to see a German national team that didn't have greys in them. But anyway, that's a really big time. So I wanted to do a German save, which is why I put 1860 Munich on the that's a different thing. But anyway, I was thinking about doing Hamburg, but I noticed a lot of people doing Hamburg out there, and I want to be a little bit original in it. Hamburg, obviously a huge team, a lot of history. They got relegated to the second Bundesliga, and that was definitely something I'd strongly considered doing for the beta, but too many people are doing it, so I'm not sure I'm actually going to go through with it. If you think I should, let me know in the comments below too. But I'm thinking about doing Southampton in the beta save. Obviously, being a Saints fan, there's a lot of turmoil at the club right now. I'm not sure anyone you're aware, but Mark Hughes and Ralph Kruger got into it in the tunnel after the Wolves defeat last weekend, and it just seems to be a bit of a problem at Southampton. We can't seem to turn the ship around. The players obviously have been sold over the years and replaced them with absolute garbage, but that's a story for another video perhaps. But anyway, that feels like a really big challenge to me, and obviously being a Saints fan, that I feel like if I could turn that around, it'd be a bit more of a personal achievement to me. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. Should I do something different, go abroad, go to Hamburg, maybe in Germany, or should I do Southampton? Again, I'm looking for your feedback. That means a lot to me if you could give me that below. Otherwise, I'm probably going to do Southampton for the beta. All right, and that's really going to wrap up the video there. I just wanted to briefly talk about the tactical, my opinion on the tactical announcements so far. Obviously, there'll be some more videos coming up in the upcoming weeks just before the beta gets, and obviously as more information comes out about the game itself, we'll learn more things, and if I have anything relative that I want to relate to you, I'll definitely include that into a future video. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much going to wrap up the video there. That's pretty much all I have to say for today. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you haven't checked it out yet, I started the FIFA 19 series this year. Obviously, after the success of FIFA 18 I had with the Coventry City career mode, a lot of success there, and I wanted to try and and repeat the FIFA 19 one this year. With Morecambe, I'm doing a Youth Academy challenge. I can only sign players from my Youth Academy to help build the squad. So far, it's going really well. I'm enjoying it. I got a few people on board there that are really enjoying it as well, and I'm going to continue it as long as, you know, other people are enjoying it. And then obviously, if Foot Manager comes, I'm going to take Foot Manager will primarily take over the channel. I'll probably reduce FIFA back to weekends or maybe 3 days a week at most. Other things I have to say. No, I've got some other ideas in the woodwork, but I'll leave that for another video down the line. But thanks so much for watching, everyone. Truly appreciate it. Once again, thank you all your support. I'm up to 704.5 subscribers now. Crazy. Hopefully, when Foot Manager comes around this year, I'll grow from where I am today up to 1,000 subs. That's my goal, I think, from Foot Manager 2019 gets released. I'd love to have 1,000 subs by Christmas. I don't know if it's going to be doable. 300 subs in 2 months. It's definitely a push, but I'll give it my best shot. And if I don't make it, I don't make it. But if I make it, great. So anyway, thanks for your support. Appreciate you. And I'll see you guys in the next part. Or next video, I should say. Bye, everyone. Goodbye.